Hello there, Kevin Finn here with Peak Performance Table Tennis. Today I'm going to go over how to design an effective training program that you can perform from home or at your club before playing. I'll reveal the 3 essential pieces of equipment that you'll need, as well as all of the key components that you need to include in order to create a well-balanced program. Ready? Let's dive in. Let's start with the equipment. You can get a lot done with a single adjustable dumbbell. The adjustable part is key because as you get stronger, you want to be able to add weight to it over time. You can make it lighter for movements targeting smaller muscles, or heavier for hitting the larger muscle groups. Something like a kettlebell is great, but if you're locked into a particular weight, as you get stronger, you'll find you'll have to buy another kettlebell and then another kettlebell in order to keep the movements challenging. An adjustable dumbbell, however, allows you to purchase plates individually, which is a lot cheaper. The next 2 pieces of equipment we'll go over will fill in those missing pieces of the puzzle that are hard to hit with just a dumbbell. First, a solid wall ball is a fantastic way for table tennis players to train rotational power. 6 to 8 pounds is a great range for most. You don't want to go too heavy on these. Wall balls allow you to perform a variety of throws and slams that will improve your power and your rate of force development in a way that carries a low risk of injury, is not very technical, it's pretty easy to learn, and is not as complicated as something like an Olympic lift. Finally, a set of elastic resistance bands can be used in all sorts of different ways. You can use them as part of your warm-up, for core stability and rotational movements, or to modify other exercises in ways that make them more challenging or easier on the joints. Buy a quality set that has some light, medium, and heavy tension bands so that you have a variety to choose from. Now that we've gone over the basic equipment, we can get into the actual workout itself. Now, you never want to start exercising while you're still cold. You should always perform a general warm-up first. This will help reduce your chances of injury and will also increase your performance once you do start exercising. Once you're ready to begin, you can use the acronym SPSAC to remember which order you should perform your exercises. Just like with math, there is an order of operations, if you will, that you need to follow in order to get the training adaptations that you desire. So you can perform these out of order if you want, and you'll still feel like you got a good workout, but you're not going to actually get those training adaptations that you were looking for. SP stands for speed and power. You want to train these qualities at the beginning of your workout while you're still fresh, so you can apply maximum intent and effort. Use full rest periods so you're recovered between attempts. The best way to increase your speed is to sprint. You have to move fast if you want to get fast. To improve your multi-directional speed or change of direction speed, you can do agility drills. Power is best trained through a combination of plyometric exercises, Olympic lifts, wall ball throws and slams, and resistance training with a specific focus on maintaining a high velocity. The next S stands for strength. To train for maximal strength, you want to pick compound movements that you can perform through a full range of motion and that you can load incrementally so that they remain challenging as your performance improves. A decent rule of thumb is to look for movements that are hard enough that you can only get 10 or fewer reps per set. So if you can bust out 30 bodyweight push-ups in one go, that's actually not going to be a good option for you for building strength. Instead, you should modify the push-up so it's more challenging, or go with something like a floor press. To avoid imbalances and promote even development, you'll want to train your whole body for strength. To achieve this, you should include 5 key movement patterns in your training. For the lower body, you should include a squat or a knee-dominant movement to hit your quads and your glutes. Include both bilateral movements like goblet squats, as well as single leg options like Bulgarian split squats or lunges. You'll also want to include a hinge or a hip dominant movement to train your hamstrings and your posterior chain. Options like a straight leg deadlift, hip thrust, or even sliding leg curls are a great way to achieve this. Moving on to the upper body, you'll want to have both pushing and pulling movements, each of which can be broken down into vertical and horizontal variations. For upper body pushing options, We have on the vertical plane, shoulder presses and various incline presses work well. And for horizontal pushes, we have the standard push-up, as well as things like a floor press. If you have a bench, you can perform bench presses as well with the dumbbell. For upper pulling movements, we have pull-ups and moto rows in the vertical plane, and we have dumbbell rows and rotational rows for the horizontal plane. Finally, you should also include some rotational and core-focused movements. For these movements, you can use a more moderate to high rep range, either training them for power with the wall ball or hitting them more in moderate rep ranges along with your accessory work. Accessory work is next in our order of operations. Accessory work allows you to target smaller muscle groups that may not be hit so well by the larger compound movements. You want to aim for 10 to 30 reps or so per set. You can have the reps a little higher than you would if you were training for strength. And about 1 to 2 minutes rest in between sets tends to work well on average for most. This is targeted work, so if you wanted to hit your shoulders, things like lateral raises, face pulls, external rotations, if you're going to hit your biceps or triceps a little bit, do some calf work or ab work, this all falls under the umbrella of accessory work. Now, my general advice is to let your table tennis drills take care of 90% of your conditioning work. That is as sport specific as you can get when it comes to preparing yourself for table tennis. Outside of that, if you wanted to do a little extra, you could do interval training. Research shows that a work-rest ratio of about 1 to 2 or 1 to 5 tends to match up well with the intermittent movement profile that table tennis players typically experience during a match. One other important thing I wanted to mention about conditioning is that you notice that it comes last in the order of operations. That's because if you are excessively tired from your conditioning, that will interfere with all of the other adaptations that you might be trying to achieve during your training program. That's why you do it last, not first, and if possible, it's best to do your conditioning work on a separate day entirely. This will minimize the interference effect between the cardio and the strength and power adaptations that you're looking to achieve. If you can't do it on a separate day, at the end of your session is good, or even better would be maybe like 6 hours later. So you might work out in the morning and then hit some conditioning at night. So I know that may have been a lot to take in, but don't worry. You do not need to cram every single possible variation and every component into each workout that you do. The important thing is that you're learning the principles and adhering to the order of operations each workout. So if you're planning out a week of training, for your first session, you might simply pick 1 or 2 movements from each category. And then when you do your second session of the week, try to pick a movement that's a different variation. That way, by the end of the week, you've covered all of your bases. Once you've settled on a solid group of exercises that covers all the areas outlined here, you want to stick with those exercises for a period of 3 to 6 weeks. This will allow you to be consistent with your training and really focus on achieving progressive overload. You want to run faster, jump higher, throw harder, add a rep, add weight over time. That's what's going to make sure that you continue to see results. Try to beat that logbook each time you train. If you're still feeling overwhelmed, don't worry. I'll toss a sample workout in the description of this video that follows all of the principles outlined here. You can use that as a template for yourself. If you really want a thorough understanding of how to best train for table tennis, however, I highly recommend picking up a copy of my new book, Peak Performance Table Tennis. In it, I have detailed charts and specific guidelines for how to train for the most crucial athletic qualities for table tennis players. That's all for today. My work here is done, and now it's time for you to get to work. Take this knowledge, apply it, train hard, and take your game up a notch. And as always, stay strong and pong on.